the huge floating mind of night. Now, with these two sentences, we have very clearly here the entire issue of Savitri. The problem posed for Savitri is at once stated at the very beginning of Savitri the epic, that across the path of divine event, the mind of night is forming an obstacle. So that is the problem which Savitri has to face. It means that in the second sentence itself, the gods are not yet awake. It will be an hour hence when they will awake. The far off divine event to which the whole creation is moving is facing a formidable difficulty. Savitri has to remove the obstacle posed by this mind of night. She has to clear the way for the event to move forward. She has to clear the way for the move. Now, so basically, mind of night is coming in the way. Now, is it because of the presence of this mind of night that the gods are not awake? In other words, does it mean that if you dismiss the mind of night, dissolve the mind of night, take away the mind of night, transform the mind of night, the gods will awake? They will not awake until the mind of night is transformed. That is one possibility. The other possibility is only when the gods awake will the mind of night go. In other words, the gods will play a certain role in the removal of the mind of night. So, whether it is the mind of night which is not making the gods awake, or whether it is the sleep of God which is not causing the transformation of night. Which event follows which? This is what it means to say. Whether the gods awake before or the event or the mind of night gets transformed before. Now, from the line, it was the hour before the gods awake, it is very clear that he is talking of awake as present tense. Absolutely. The poet does not say, the yogi does not say, it was the hour before the gods awoke. It is not that, before the gods awake, you see. Now, what it means is that the gods kind of keep on awaking from time to time, and the hour is before they get awakened. What does that mean? The gods get awakened from time to time. It means that every cycle of creation, the gods are asleep and they get awakened. Before they get awakened, there is darkness. In every cycle of creation, there is darkness. Now, therefore, awake is a kind of a reference to the appearance of every cycle of creation. So, when a new cycle begins, then the creation begins, then the gods awake in the course of time. Before they awaken, there is darkness. There is darkness, you see. Now, yes.
But if it's like this, the mind of night will be not transformed until now when Savitri will come. It means
no, that will later on. That will happen later on.
Yeah. So it means for the other cycle, it was always, because you asked who before.
Yes.
So we know who is before, because every time there is a mind of night.
Yeah.
Okay? And you said the God cannot awake unless the mind of night will be transformed.
That's right. Yeah.
But they will be transformed only in this cycle when the avatar came to transform it. Is it like this?
You see, in the previous in the previous cycles of creation, the gods were not really awake. See, the question which we have to ask is, who are these gods? The question is, who are these gods? If these are the transcendental gods, it means that it is after the creation has begun. It means that it has begun. But if these gods are the gods who will bring about transformation, then it's a different thing. So that thing, who these gods are, that has not been specified here. Who these gods, whether these are the transcendental gods of Satchidananda creation, or these are the gods who will come into play when the transformation begins. When the transformation begins. Now, I think in a way we can justify that these are the gods who play the role in transformation. When will they awake? They will awake when Savitri too awoke among these human tribes. As we have seen at the end of the section, Savitri too awoke along with the human tribe. And it is from that point onward the divine event has a chance of moving forward.
So it means they are awake only in this cycle.
Yeah. So, but because it is awake, therefore they cannot be the gods of transformation. They are the transcendental gods. They are the transcendental gods. See, because the transcendental gods come into creation during every cycle. The gods of transformation will come later on. The gods of transformation will come when the work of Savitri begins. At that point, you see. Because awake is a present tense. Every cycle it happens. So it cannot be the it cannot be the gods of transformation.
There are different gods.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is the answer.
Yes, that is the whole point. Yeah. In other words, with the work of Savitri, new gods of transformation will come into play, which is a separate matter altogether. But here, at this point, the gods are actually the transcendental gods of the omniscient reality, of Satchitananda. It was the hour before the gods awake, across the path of divine event, the huge hovering mind of night, alone in her unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched mobile upon silence Mars. Well, we are reading this one, no? The problem posed for Savitri is at once stated at the very beginning of Savitri. In the second sentence itself, the gods are not yet awake. It will be an hour before when they will awake. The far-off divine event to which the whole creation is moving is facing a formidable difficulty. The obstinate, unyielding mind of night standing in the way. Savitri has to remove the obstacle posed by this mind of night. So her precise task is there now, clearly there. She has to clear the way for the divine event to move forward. But there is a question. Is the problem there because the gods are not yet awake? The gods not being awake, is that the cause that the divine event is not able to move? The reason for the non-progress of the event, would the problem get automatically solved the moment they would awake? In that case, this is not a necessity of Savitri. you will get awake. And then will the gods awake by themselves, or they will have to be woken up from their routine sleep? Or is it the other way around? Is it going to be in the solution of the problem of the gods will awake, that the mind of night is removed and then the gods awake? But as I said, this possibility is not there because the verb awake as present tense. Awake by themselves had the difficulty to disappear for the gods to get up. Would it mean that as long as that difficulty is there, that problem, that obstacle is there, the gods will not awaken? Perhaps that seems to be a matter of greater real concern, obviously. You see. Not the waking of the gods, but the mind of night looks to be the issue Savitri has to face. If she can solve the mind of night, then perhaps the gods will also awake. Gods may not necessarily be awake even if the mind of night is dismissed. But for the divine event to proceed, it is absolutely essential that the mind of night is dissolved or transformed. That defines the mission of Savitri, which she must accomplish. So that is clear from the second sentence itself is clear. The gods are not yet awake, and there is a mind of night standing in the way. But what is the divine event? The divine event is not able to prove. What is the divine event? Which seems to be crucial. Obviously, the divine event is the new manifestation. We'll skip that thing. Are the gods to awake only when the obstacles in the divine event, thus, that is implied in Savitri, is the manifestation of the powers of the dynamic, expressive spirit in this mortal creation. So, the divine event is defined here. The divine event that is implied in Savitri is the manifestation of the powers of the divine. We see this divine event in the full glory in the 11th book. We have already seen that things in the old book. The everlasting day. This is a creation whose immediate beginning is in the inconscient void, and by its very nature it assumed the form of the mind of night. We will oppose any change it will hold. Now, before we proceed further, well, when is this divine event going to begin? Is it going to begin with the waking of the gods? Or is it that in the wake of the divine event the gods will awake? Or is it tied up with something else? Perhaps in a more significant sense, it will begin with the death of Satyavan. The divine event will begin with the death of Satyavan. The year, the month, the day, the hour is already marked in that decreed death. It is that glorious death which is going to usher in the new creation, the new age, the Aeon, Nava Yuga. This will be the age not of matter, not of life, not of mind, but of the spirit. In embracing everything in the richnesses of multiplicity, now across the path of divine event, this phrase, the divine event, the very second line of Savitri carries a phrase which appears in Tennyson's elegy of his friend Arthur Hallam in his memoriam, and concludes with the following stanza. The phrase divine event is not in a sense original phrase of Sri Aurobindo. It is a phrase which occurs in a poem by Tennyson. The poem entitled In Memoriam. And here are the stanzas. I will read that particular stanza here. That God which ever lives and loves, one God, one law, one element, and one far out divine event to which the whole creation moves. You see, the fellow has some kind of an intuition, some kind of a glimpse of things. I already see that God, whereof the man that which trod his planet was a noble type, appearing as the times arrived. That friend of mine who lives in God. See, he is mourning the death of his friend. And he says that that man with me who trod on this planet was a noble type. Okay, his friend was a noble type. Appearing as the times were ripe, that friend of mine who lives now in God. He has passed away. That God with whom he lives, which ever lives and loves, one God, one law, one element, and one far out divine event to which the whole creation moves. So, although his friend is died, the God is itself already willing for that far out divine event. So, some kind of an intuition was there even in this poet of the divine event. The poem begins with an address to a strong Son of God, God who can be reached only through faith, one who is the creator of the death sustains everything. Our knowledge of him can grow more and more in proportion with our reverence for him. Strong Son of God, immortal love, whom we that had not seen by faith and faith alone embrace, believing where we cannot prove. Now, no doubt this is pretty remarkable, particularly the first line, apotheosizing immortal love. He is addressing immortal love, and it is in that context of immortal love. Tennyson is addressing immortal love, and it is in that context he is talking of the divine event. So it is something really which has kind of slipped into him without perhaps his knowledge. No doubt this is pretty remarkable, particularly the first line, apotheosizing immortal love. Yet, in its essential character, it seems to be more literary aesthetic with religious content than psycho-spiritual, what we have in Tennyson's season.